What is going on with the sound, guys? I don't know. Let me see. Weird. It's not muted. I definitely don't want to read the entire thing. I will read it, but I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Yeah, it's reading, but it's not giving the sound. I know something's going on with the speaker. Okay. This is weird. This has never happened. I know I was doing the class last night and I couldn't hear either. So I guess it's something going on with my speaker. Strange, strange, strange. Well, we'll get right to it. Let me just read it. We'll stop it. We'll go right back. Very important information I want you guys to check out. This is the 19th century Jesuit reductions in the United States. Let me zoom in a little bit more. If you guys could tap the screen and share the video out, it'd be appreciated. 19th century Jesuit reductions in the United States. It says, though published only a few weeks ago, Golden Years on the Paraguay of Father George O'Neill, S.J. has already aroused that new interest in the Paraguay reductions, which the author had hoped would be the result of his labors, while the book indicates the new impetus towards the particular study of the field among the English-speaking historians. It says that it also gives the occasion to recall a forgotten phrase of our own history, which deserves the efforts of American Midwest research scholars. Though the South American reductions during the 17th century were certainly deservedly famous, still the plane of the theocratic state was by no means confined only to the Spanish possession along the Paraguay. It is natural that its success on the Chaco would encourage the Jesuits into other lands to adopt the plan. The plan. What is the plan? We're going to get into that. The Salvateras Baja, California, and Keno's missions on the Colorado, though perhaps not given the name, were exemplifications of the particular reduction plan. Father Jeune in New France, as early as 1637, believed that the only successful way to convert the savages, who they considered savages, of that country was by employing the system of what is occurred in the Paraguays, right? It says, we are, however, prone to believe that with the suppression of the Society of Jesus, what is the suppression? That's coming down, the pressing down on the people. I've read before, you guys remember the book that shows you that they said they brought Jesus to press down on the nation, to bring down, pressing down. Okay, that is not a good thing. Pay attention. The way to convert the savages, converting the savages, they said the Indians as savages of that country was by employing the system of what is occurring in this area. Now, it says we are, however, prone to believe that with the suppression of the Society of Jesus, and with the secularization of the missions and the old reduction, the idea was finally abandoned. Yet, quite the contrary is in fact. Now, listen to this. It says right here that the Jesuit relations and the Allied documents, Cleveland in 1896, CF volume 12, page 224, It says that Lejeune's relation in 1637 in volume 19, page 137, Lejeune's relation in 1640. Now listen to this. It says that St. Mary's on Lake Huron was the first formal attempt of the Jesuits in New France to introduce the reduction plan. Listen, the Jesuits, listen, in New France to introduce the reduction plan into the mission field, introducing it to the mission field. It says that this ended in 1649. It ended in 1649 when the Indians massacred the Jesuits. Stop playing. The Indians massacred the Jesuits, right? Hold on, guys. I'm going to put this in my chat. I am also over on YouTube. And I'm going to put this information in. Peace and bliss says, peace, 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 peace. Feathers up, brother. Peace and bliss. Thanks for coming in this morning. You guys have a great morning. Let's get right to this info. Y'all see I came and went right in. We ain't going to talk. We ain't going to do too much of that. We're going to just get to the information. That's right. We're going to get right to the information. True food. Peace, brother. Peace. Thanks for coming through. Grand risings to you. Grand risings to you, everyone in the chat. Let's continue on, guys, right? Get back to the book. I had to pin that in my chat real quick. All right. Now, continuing on. We're talking about pertinent information. Pay attention. It says that in the 19th century, right, the sons of Ignatius were again in the mission fields of North America. Now, remind you, they said in 1649, they massacred them. They said that the Indians massacred the Jesuits. They was like, uh-oh, we better get back. So now, here comes years later, and they want to try it again. So pay attention. In the 19th century, the sons of Ignatius were again in the mission fields of North America. The mother of missionaries, Belgium. Listen, North America, the mother of missionaries is Belgium, sent to the old laborers, the Jesuits. The Jesuits are the old laborers, right? Of the restored society, and with them came the full measure of the missionary, the tradition, which was their heritage. Though it was nearly 2 decades, we're talking 20 years, 2 decades after their arrival, before the new Blackrobes, pay attention to the Blackrobes. Who are the Blackrobes? These Jesuits, popes, priests, Catholics, all these people, right? It says they finally began to labor in the earnest among the Indian children. Listen. So the Blackrobes, the Jesuits came in, and it says they finally began to labor in earnest among the Indian children, which means what? We know that a labor worker is a slaver, right? So the Jesuits coming back into the Americas as slaves, right? As the Slavs crossing over, coming back in because they had been defeated once before. And the Aboriginal Indians massacred them. They said massacred. They didn't just say defeated them. It said they massacred them, right? Got them right out the way. They ain't come back for a whole nother 20 years. And when they did, they came back bowing on hands and knees. Hey, can we come and perform labor for you guys? Sure, I'll put you under a labor contract. That's the same labor contract that you guys go to every day when you're doing a 9 to 5, whether you know it or not. But either way, it says that the Blackrobes finally began to labor in earnest among the Indian children. Now, check this out. It said, yet these dusky people, these dusky people of the plains had not forgotten what their fathers told them of the Marquette and his companies. They didn't forget what the forefathers said. Hey, y'all, these people came over here 20 years. We have to lay them out. We literally massacred these people. So y'all keep in mind, if they come back again, keep in mind they had a plan. They tried at that time and we defeated them. So don't ever let them get over on you. This is what they let them know. They warned them, right? And it says that the fathers told them that about the Marquette and the companies. It says here that when the news had reached the Aborigines, right? When it reached the Aborigines, now mind you, they said they're talking about the Indians, right? So what the Indians are what? Aborigines, right? The aboriginals to the land born of the soil of the same kinetic chemical makeup, right? There's only one group of people that could be pertaining to. Right? We're not going to get so stuck onto that, but we're talking about the Indian Aboriginals. They are Indian, but they are Aboriginal. Why were they Indian? Because they were all a part or around the area of what the Indian Superior. I mean, come on, it only makes sense. People have to use their head and do not let trickery come into the fold, right? Let's keep moving. It says here that when the news reached the Aborigines that the Blackrobes, the Jesuits, the Catholics, the Quakers, no, the Quakers were different. I'm sorry. The pioneers, all these people, when that the Blackrobes were again in the land, they were again in the land. It was not long before they had petitioned for the aid of the men who had the great prayer. What is the great prayer? Let's find that out. The aid of the those that had the great prayer. Maybe the Sachems. What are you talking about? They're talking about the wise ones of the land. Oh, that may be. Let's go. And in answering the call, it says that the Jesuits borrowed from their elder brothers and old reduction plan as the best means to attain the end desire, which was what their forefathers had warned them about. The forefathers told them, hey, 20 years ago, we kind of laid them out. We had to massacre these people. They came here with a plan. They tried to take our land. They tried to do this. Don't let them do it again. So they were warned of this, right? So it says that they began to attain the end desire of this particular plan that they had started once before, but they had given them the allowance to do so, right? They gave them the authority, basically, right? It says that in Kansas, right? And among the tribes of the Rock Mountains, the new reductions were begun in the 19th century. Oh, only in the 19th century did these people come to obtain the land? They have stories that they've been here since the 1600s, 1700. We've been here doing this 400 years. We done slaved y'all, blah, blah, blah. But all information shows that our ancestors and forefathers had everything in effect, even in the late 1700s. So that's amazing, right? Let's keep moving. It says, in answering the call again, that the Jesuits borrowed from the elder brothers in the old reduction plan and the means to obtain the end desire, which would not happen because they were forewarned. They knew. They were already aware. So they were paying attention, right? Now, once again, it says that Kansas and among the tribes of the Rock Mountains, the new reductions were beginning in the 19th century. And it says that what? Whose history and yet lacks a pen, whose history lacks a pen. What does that tell you? That tells you the writing of the true history of these Aborigines, these Indians, right? And this particular reduction plan had no information written about it. They hid that information. This is why people believe that these natives are, oh, they're the only Indians. Well, damn, what about the Wild West show? What about Wild Wild Bill that went around the country parading these people? And the young lady on the panel, there was a native Indian that got on the panel the other night, and she said that they felt like they were used as clowns in a circus. I said, well, sister, you guys were. I had to inform her of the Wild West show and how they were paraded around to be orchestrated and perpetuated to be the Aboriginal Indians. But they couldn't give them that name, right? Because they don't have the bloodline. This is why they are Native Americans, native to the American lands, coming here and setting up, right? Okay, let's keep going. It says here that variations of the plan and modifications designed to meet the requirements of the Indians in their new environment on the reservation life continue to be made within the borders of the United States, even beyond the dawn of the present century, right? In 1823, here we go, in the 1800s, when the Jesuits from Maryland settled in the Florence Valley, the Osage Indians were still there, or less consecrated in St. Louis County, Missouri, also in St. Louis County, Missouri. Since Bishop Dubourg's purpose in bringing them to his see was particularly to convert the Indians, the Jesuits under Father Van Quickerborn, despite their lack of space in their new quarters, immediately opened an Indian school for the Osage boys and arranged with the ladies of the Sacred Heart to accept the charge of educating the Osage girls. However, in 1825, educating them. You guys are aware definitely of the Indian schools, right? The schools where they trained them to be Indians, taking on the nature and all of the history, right? However, in 1825, the Osage signed a treaty with the United States whereby they agreed to move westward into Kentucky territory. Though excuse me, though perforce the Indian school was closed. The Indian school. Why would they have to have Indian schooling when Indian knows how to be Indian? Father Van Quickerborn did not abandon the children of the forest. He visited the children of the forest. Now, if you guys aren't aware, I'm on TikTok, just so you guys know, we read in the book and it told us that the children of the forest were the cannibals, the ones that ate of the flesh and certain herbs and corn. These were the cannibals. These were the wild ones. These were the savages, the ones that were kept out in the woods because they couldn't operate in the governance and the society of the other Indians, the copper color Indians. They had some type of humanity in them that had them practicing cannibalism. So they were kept in the wood. They were the savages. They had to be kept away from the rest of the tribes, if that makes sense. It's been proven and written. Okay. It said, it appeared to him at the time that the roving nomadic life of the plain made permanent evangelization and civilization, right? Impossible. Sometimes, therefore, between 1825 and 1829, Father Quickenborn decided to adopt a reduction plan for the Asaji's under his care. Some years later, he gave the following description of it. What was the description he'd given? Let's read it. Let me check on my chat real quick, guys. I got too many windows pulled up. I can't even get in. Peace, brother. Peace and bless. Yes, it said the dusty people, bro. They got the nerve. It said the dusty people. Peace, says Brandis, Great Rising. It said the dusty. They are something else, right? Okay, let's get back to the book. Tulips, grandest tulips. I haven't even checked with the chat over here as well. Grandest. I seen lady in here already. Free your mind, sis, right in there. She on it. Tashaka. Thanks for the puffs, the heart, sis. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right. Now, let's get back to it. It said it was possible that sometime, therefore, between that particular area. Now, some years later, he gave the following description. So what was the description? The Indian mission has begun by opening of our Indian seminary at Florissant on the feast of Saint Francis de Hieronimo, I believe it is Hieronimo, or maybe Geronimo. 11th of May in 1824, and that the Indian mission, as far as I know, has never been abandoned. Thus, the plain in question is not for the beginning of the mission, the mission that, the mission that they had been warned about. Remember, this was not only with the savages, this was all of the Indians. They all came in this area. They all had to come together, defeat these people. This is how they were able to massacre them and keep them away for 20 years before coming back at this time. It says, but for working in the Indian mission with greater success and the extension of our sphere of action, and for securing to our labors a more lasting and solid benefit, this plan was sent to the Father General Rothen. The Father General Rothen. They said the Father. Listen, the Father General Rothen. This informs you, if you guys are understanding or know. If you go to my YouTube page, you can look up the Women's Mission, and it explains to you how they formulated a trinity to create the foundation of these reservations and plantations, planting nations and plantations, reserving nations and reservations. These things were done with the trinity of a school, a hospital, and a church. So the father would be self-appointed a chief. Once he had an area of 50 or more people, the chieftains would appoint him a chief, a self-appointed chief, so that he would be able to rule that particular reservation or plantation. And then they started moving, we already know what happened after that. But this is how they came in and started these missions, started having these Indian missions and setting these things up and orchestrating their frauds off of the people, so on and so forth, right? Okay. Now, let's go on. It says, but the working of the Indian mission with greater success and extension of our sphere of action, and for securing to our labors, and for securing to our labors. They said it was what? To secure their labor, their servitude, their labor work, right? Their slavery. to securing of our labors, a more lasting and solid benefit. A benefit to who? Those who are taking over the land. Obviously, the ones who took your stuff and all your rights and orchestrated the fraud. That's who they're talking about, believe it or not. It says this plan was sent to Father General Rothman in the same terms in which it was found in the Annales de Association on number 23, page 584. It begins with 4. The Seminary Indian. And look how Indian is spelled, just so you guys can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Indian. See, it's changed with the misnomer with these natives, but see, it says the Seminary Indian, Indien, Indian, right? And it says, and if you guys can see that, let me make sure you can. Indians, okay? Now, and ends with the letter to the Father General answering the following. Let's see what the letter is saying. Okay, there you go. It says that your reference letter certainly deserves a more lengthy reply than time will permit me to make. However, in as far as possible, I will answer your more important questions lest I be forced to delay longer. It says, I most gladly approve of the Indian Institute, which you described to me as already began, and I will send you, I hope, $1,000 from the money at my disposal. What is that for? It is to help complete the perpetuate the work. To help complete and perpetuate the work. You'll get $1,000 for putting this plan in. If you got everyone on my TikTok, if you go to my page, I posted yesterday showing you the way for them to connect to the plan. What is it? With the particular church and making profit off of the church. How do we use the church to make profit? Yeah, they got it written down in their Bible. It's on my TikTok page. You guys can go look at that. It was just posted yesterday, so it should be up top. Okay. It says that to help complete and perpetuate the work, right? It says, it seems to me that care should be given to prevent the ingress into the Indian colony of men, Now they changed the writing, see? Now it says Indian, Indian, because they're talking about what? The colonies. The colonies being what? The great nations they created, right? Not the original ones, but we're talking about the native colonies, right? That were orchestrated with the reservations. They are not Indians, they are Indians. The colony of men who may perhaps simulate conversion, but who will finally destroy the work, If possible, your reference would do well, right, to imitate the plan which our fathers once used in Paraguay. Experience has proven its success. They say the experience proved it. Said we took over their lands, we did what we did over there, and it worked, right? Let me share the video out. Halito, Copperhue, grandest, sis. Appreciate you guys. Everyone share the video out. I would really appreciate it. Get this information shared because it is definitely pertinent, accurate, truth. And giving a little understanding or understanding of what's kind of going on, coming in. And if you came in late, not understanding that these Jesuits were defeated in 1649, the Indians actually massacred them by their words. They were massacred, gotten rid of, like, hey, y'all got to go, that type of thing. So they came back, and the ancestors had forewarned them, and this is where we're at now. Now, it is this plan that was proposed to the President of the United States Corporation, the incorporation of these colonies, right? In a conversation with the use, of course, of the agents, the Indian agents. I've shown you guys, we've read over this many times, the information on the Indian agents, how much they were paid, what tribe they were from. There's no debating it. You guys are paid, your ancestors, per se, were paid. Some even bought their way into citizenship as an Indian with not a drop of Indian blood, all going into the reservation, so on and so forth. That has been proven many times over, right? All right, let's keep moving. It says, he promised to support the plan and give me leave to propose it to the Indians. Give me leave to propose it to the Indians. I have done it in 2 full councils in 2 different villages. Now they're approaching the true Indians. They're not talking about the agents, the ones that they brought into their corporations, the ones they started putting on the reservations. We're talking about the real Indians that were still in the villages, the ones that still had their government councils. It says right here, they said it in 2 full councils, right? A council is what? That's a state of governance. The councils in 2 different villages. It says, and it was unanimously pronounced to be the thing that they wanted, and great anxiety was exhibited to see it commenced immediately. It was commenced immediately, so they immediately just said, "Okay, we'll just go along with it." It said, "I assured them that I would commence it, and that I had the leave of the superiors, and that I had the means then at hand. I can control this," he told them. He said, "I explained, moreover, that I would begin it in our stay with who did not wish to live." So these are the ones they would, "Hey, you don't want to stay in this, be a part of this, we can move you guys, put you on another area, start moving you around." It says, after the manner of the Whiteys, after the manner of the Whiteys, that we would help them in raising a cabin. We would help them build a cabin, and procuring a horse, and give them a cow, and give them a plow. I assured them also that great care would be taken of the old people. Bring them on in. Yeah, bring your people, feeble, old. We'll take care of them. It's just in our heart. There's the loving people that we are, right? It says too that a spot was indicated to me by the trader's agent, by the agent, as a place possessing all of the qualities and the requisites for such an establishment. I bet, hey, you're in the Americas, right? The land of milk and honey. Situated in a navigable stream emptying into the Osage River, a stream called Marmaton, right? It says first rate soil, the best soil, of course. First rate soil, well timbered, plenty of wood. Trees that 100 feet tall, or so on and so forth. There are many of them still now, but they cut a large amount of them at one point in time. An excellent site for a watermill, and at a little distance, plenty of cedar trees. See, the cedar wood, sufficiently near to the Osage villages, and removed from the white settlements. Removed from the white settlements. It says, when I was last time in that country, June of 1830, 3 good families, by my advice, had moved from the villages and had actually commenced a life of civilized person. They said, "Well, we'll just, get civilized with these people, going to statehood. I'm tired of, living with my people. I guess, I don't know what the problem was." It says, and the good Christians, as far as they knew, one more family was expected every day. One more family every day. Every day they just bringing another one, another one. The data on the families are also supplied in this book. It says that this beginning of a congregation, getting it set up so that they can now have a reservation, the congregation being turned into a reservation, because once they have 50 or more people, the pastor or the bishop or the entity there, he would become the self-appointed chief, and now they will have a new tribe, formulating tribes out of thin air. Hey, you guys, you Cherokees are ordaining this, so we can be a Cherokee tribe, formulating and fitting themselves into the many nations that were already here. It says, because these neophytes are much solicited by the Protestant persons to forsake their particular faith, besides the reason given at another time. It says, perhaps a more suitable place can be selected at the Missouri River. Reasons for that being that the land there has been surveyed and can be entered immediately. I bet it can. The communication with St. Louis was for the trade and the supplies would be much easier. There we would near the Kickapoos, whose children have been baptized, baptizing the Kickapoo children. We will also be in the neighborhood of several other tribes, the Shawnees, the Delawares, the Kansas, the Iowas, etc. Reason again, and for the other place. As I keep telling people, the names go back to the tribe and the area, the location. One second. Let me check on my chat. While Indian, peace, love, and bliss, brother, peace, peace. Not religious mission, but a military, exactly a militant organization. Using a Red Cross. The Red Cross was a part of that. Using the Red Cross. The many nations that we call cities today. Yes, definitely, brother. Yes, I got. Listen, I was battled with this yesterday. I keep telling them that the townships TOWNE, not TOWN, but the townships of TOWNE go back to the names, the surnames of the indigenous people. Come on, let's get it right. That's how they know their tribe. What are you? Oh, I'm an Illinoisan. I'm a Texan. They knew each other areas by the tribe. What document is this? It's actually a book, and the title of the book is called Mid America. It says a historic review. Mid America, a historic review. There are a couple of different ones. I can show you in a minute if you remind me. I'll go back and show you which one this is. Okay. All right. The Asaigis could not, I'm sorry, reasons against and for the other place, right? The Asaigis could not well be drawn at once, so far from their village. They couldn't, they weren't, just hopping there. Okay, yeah, we're ready. It took a minute. They had to, get their mind right, get their spirits together, so on and so forth. Free your mind. Thanks so much for liking the live. Yes. Definitely another ship. Yes, a ship. Thanks, Copper, for the hearts. Thank you, sis. Appreciate it. Yes, another ship. Right? Now, let's go. It says, being in the heart of the American Protestant settlements, they would be despised and molested and excited against us. Molested and excited against us. I didn't read that right. Let me read that again. I don't like the way that sounded. Being in the heart of the American Protestant settlements, they would be despised. I said disposed. They would be despised and molested, despised, hated, and molested, just abused in all kind of ways and excited against us. It says that the work may be continued in the manner. The place where these four families lived is called Lee Village. Du Grand Soldat on the banks of the Marmaton River. It says about 300 miles from St. Charles in the southwest direction. West direction. These should be visited immediately and made acquainted with our final resolution of making among them. Our final resolution. Let's just set it in stone. 2 priests and 2 brothers, Brothers George and Fitzgerald. They should start early enough to be in the spot to make the rails and the fences and plant a crop this spring. The place where these 4 families live is not proper for the new establishment. They wish to remove, and therefore should have timely notice of the father's. Thanks so much for your mind. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. You just completed my goal. Let me set a new goal for you guys. I appreciate it. Y'all know I like the superpowers. That's what's up. Let's see if we can get a superpower or two in the mix. I would love that. All right. All right, let's get it. I'd appreciate it if you guys check the new goal. All right. All right. Now, continuing on. The work may be continued in this manner. Okay. Now, as I said, these should be visited immediately and made acquainted with our final resolution. Now, it says down here, the place where these 4 families live is not proper for the new establishment. It says that they wish to remove and therefore should have timely notice. The fathers must absolutely live where these families are. They want to live. They must absolutely live there. So we don't get rid of them. They got the nerve. Not only to instruct them, but to learn the Indian language. Listen, but not only to instruct them, remember the Indian schools, but to learn the Indian language. They have to learn the language so they can try to corrupt the other tribes. It says every person can settle on public land. Listen, every person can settle on public land, and thank you, free your mind. And the preemption right to 1/4 section is secured to the first settlers. Two fathers, two brothers would have 640 acres that were insured. The first insurance on these acres at $1.25 an acre. I'm gonna read that again. Every person can settle on public land. I've been telling people this for the longest. They just don't want to listen to me. They're so fabricated in their mind with information that they don't understand how to unravel the weaving. Just come up out of the maze and bust the portals down and come into the light of truth. It's so hard for some people, right? It says every person can settle on public land. I'm going to read it again. Every person can settle on public land. And the preemption right to 1/4 section is secured to the first settlers. Two fathers, two brothers would have 640 acres that are insured at $1.25 an acre. You hear this? It says how well this abomination, right? How well this abomination was carried out is evident from the careful dictionaries and the grammar still in the manuscript of what? Of the Potawatomi, right? The Potawatomi and the Osage languages of the father the Hocken, the father's Hocken, the Gaylord, the scone, if I'm saying it right, guys, I'm sorry, I'll show it to you. The Jeune maker, I believe it's Jeune maker, the Jeune maker, which are found in the archives of St. Mary's College, Kansas. I'm going to put this in my chat, guys. So if anyone decides they want to actually go and visit that information, they definitely can. A lot of people are doing research on their family history, genealogy. I'm still doing stuff. I make sure I get in here on the information for my people, but I'm still doing stuff. Thanks so much for coming in, Tamika. Peace, and bliss, sis. Thanks for coming in and joining this morning. Get some of this good information. You appreciate it. Everyone in the chat over here on TikTok as well. You guys are greatly appreciated. All right. Let's get right back to it. All right. Now, as you got, again, I'll read that real quick. It says how well this abomination was carried out is evident. It's evident from the careful dictionaries. Listen, from the dictionaries and the grammar still in manuscript of the Potawatomi, and the Osage languages. You guys can also go look on my YouTube page if you're interested. I did do a full build on the Osage language. Also on my TikTok page, you will see there is a listing of the information, books. I think there's about 30 pages of the language and things of that nature. Languages by the fathers Hocken, Galland, and Schoenmaker, I believe, which are found in the archives of St. Mary's College, Kansas. You guys want to screenshot that, you can. So you can keep that information. Make sure you get that and check that out, right? Very good, astute information. All right. Let's continue. With the Jesuit reductions in the United States. The Jesuit reductions in the United States. To do this immediately, neither persons nor money is wanted, nor is the leave of the general to be asked, nor is the leave of the general to be asked. That's strange, right? Neither persons nor money is wanted. It says difficulties to be encountered. Corrupted Canadians living with Indian women will come to the establishment. The corrupted Canadians living with the Indian women will come to the establishment. All of them, one accepted, have promised me that they will marry them. They will marry them to do what? Take the land. Because once they come and they marry the Indian woman, now the surname of the Indian woman becomes his name, and now the land goes into his name. Right? You guys have a complete understanding of that, right? All right. It says here, all of them, one accepted, have promised me that they will marry them. How will the Indian families that will join them be provided for? How will they be provided for? None. They said none. None should come except with leave from their fathers, except with leave from their fathers, right? And when the money from France will come, hands can be hired to make their cabins. The hands can be hired to make their cabins. When the hands come, right? They can be hired. These are what? Laborers. These are what? Slaves, Slavs, those that came to America for servitude. Come to America so you can get some of this money. It's plenty of work. They got free food. They got, listen, food is all over the ground. You guys can go there and eat. They got healthcare facilities set up on each one of these reservations. You can join a reservation. You can go to a plantation. You could be what you would be, a slave laborer under any of the Indian rulers over there. Like, hey, come on over. It's time for you guys to come up. Right? That's what they kind of told them. It says that in 1834, Father Van Quickenberg opened his first mission in Kansas Territory. Here go the mission. Starting the first servitude for that tribe they want to get recognized, right? The Kansas Territory, which he hoped would develop into a true reduction. Of course, the reduction. His mission of Salt Creek, right? A few miles west of Leavenworth, among the Kickapoos, was soon abandoned because it was too far from St. Louis. Right? The source of supplies, and because the greater number of the Aborigines, one more thing, just to bring this to you guys' attention. Native Americans never called themselves Aborigines. When have they ever been known as an Aborigine? They never have been known as Aborigine. If you ask them about it, they'll say, oh, they're talking about those people in Australia. That's what they've been told by their great fathers, who they are actually indigenous to. All of the native tribes are indigenous to the United States Corporation, formulated into statehood tribes, right? Governmental tribes, the agents that actually work with the government to come and construct themselves into the nations so that they can help to overtake the lands, using a false name, taking over a inheritance and making it only theirs. It's absurd. Real crazy. They ain't never been called it, right, Copper? When, says when? Like, tell me. It says they were concentrated further south, right? Thus, with the aid of Father Christian Holcomb and Mary's Mission of Sugar Creek, a tributary of the Osage River, it was opened in Lynn County. Although Father Van Quickenborn died at the Portage de Sioux on August the 17th of 1837, his companion, Father Holcomb, he carried on. As far as possible, the original plans in the new mission, in his particular diary, now in the St. Mary's College archives, Father Holcomb notes many instances of mission life, which evidence in trend towards the Reduction Act. In this particular, reduction idea. Now let's check this out. 1844, April the 15th, on the advice of their priest, the Indians have organized themselves into working bands for the purpose of helping one another in manual labor. Wow. This is the plan of the particular organization. In each hand, an overseer is appointed, who arranges the work and gives directions to the rest. Where, when, and how they must work. Giving orders as an overseer. The overseer also presides at the prayers which are said in common with who? These savages, the ones that they tamed, the ones that they brought from the woods, the wild ones, the ones that the copper-colored Indians kept at bay because they were what? Practicing cannibalistic behavior. They were cannibals. So they were the savages, the wild men that were out in the woods. So when these people came, they started to what? Tame these people, they say, right? Bringing them into the reservations, putting them into school, educating them, having all of the Indian training camps, so on and so forth, to train the savage beast, right? These were the natives, right? The natives, a lot of them that had been left here by who? Prince Mogdog in the 1400s, coming over to the Americas, leaving some of his people, and they started living amongst the river, and they had been here for centuries, at least 3 centuries before any YT person even set foot on the land, period. So when these people came in, they were also being enslaved, right? Because they were the pale people, very, very pale, not like the light Indians, the light, the red, the copper Indians. They were very pale skinned. They were being used as servitude and slavery at that time. So when these people came in, they were definitely ready to jump into servitude and statehood with them so that they can consume and take over the lands because they felt that they had been being abused over time. It says on the octave of the assumption of the BVM, the Indians drew up a code of laws. Why would the Indians be drawing up a code of laws unless they were in the governance? Had they to be in the governance? Yes, of course. They had their governance. They had a town hall, they had a school, and they had a place where they had the warriors go and train, and also where the governance was of the matriarchs. The matriarchs making decisions for the entire village, so on and so forth. That was a part of their township. This is how they were helping these people set up. They said, well, hey, this is what we do. We have our governments. We have a township. We have a training for our governments of our matriarchs, and also where they train the warriors. And we also have a school for the children. So if you guys can set those things up, now you can have an honorary tribe. This is how they kind of came in, mocking everything we were doing, letting them come in and get a placement so that they can do what? Perform servitude, so on and so forth. So it says the codes of law. It says which were unanimously agreed to and were put in writing. They were put in writing to impress their observance. They were put in writing. Moreover, they elected constables. They elected the constables. Oh, why would they be electing constables? Well, if there's a governance, they have to have people with certain authority, right? But I thought the Indians didn't have governance. I thought that they were all savage wild beasts. Well, it couldn't have been us because we all had the government set up when these people came here. This is how they mocked it, right? To see to it that these laws were well observed. They said they had to see to it that the laws were well observed. I'm going to put this in my chat as well. Very important point here. Peace, 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 Freeman. Grand risings, grand risings. But you guys have an understanding because that is definitely a governance, right? It is a governance that we have. We've always had governance. We always had order, right? Doing things in perfect order, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, it says toward the end of July, the Indians held a council. They had a council. Well, we know that. They had a council and unanimously agreed on the course of action in case anyone would bring liquor into the village or sell it to others. In case anyone would bring liquor into the village or sell it to others. Well, why is that? Because that was spirits, right? Those spirits were used against the people to make them docile in order to tame the minds of the people using spirits, which were other entities of sorcery against the person's nature, casting upon their soul, right? Literally pouring over into them a new spirit of this liquid fire that they were consuming, right? Listen, it says that Father Quickenborn's plan, as presented here, was accompanied by a letter by by F.R. Ponziglong, whoever that is, who believed that it was written in 1833. It is evident a synopsis of the more detailed account, which had been in this evolution for some years previous to the 1833, and about which the general of the society had the information before 1829. So there was a synopsis. It says that in regard to this point, the majority kept their promises. If you guys go on my TikTok page, you guys can see where it says revenue, Department of Revenue. It's a video that says Department of Revenue, and it goes right into that, how they use the liquor to create these taxes and all of that. Taking the spirit, using it in many ways to take the land, putting the people, getting them drunk, having them signing their property over. They ain't even know. They wake up the next day like, damn, I sold my property. Yeah, you did. You sat there and got drunk, taking in them spirits of these damn people. You should have been paying attention. We told you what was going to happen. You know what's going to happen. They've been doing it all along, right? Yeah, and liquor stores is in every neighborhood that we live in. Free your mind. But you know what it told them? It says right there in their laws that the liquor store can only be in places of war, where the military is. They can only put it in a place of war. to be used as a tactic of war. Are you understanding that? You said, like you said, there's a liquor store in every neighborhood on every corner, damn near, right? And it's only used in war. There is war being committed against you every day. You guys understand that? Yes. And oh, I hope I don't sound like I'm badgering you through your mind. I want to make sure that's clear, not just for you, baby, for everybody. I appreciate you. You already know. Sometimes I say people are ignorant, stupid, things of that nature. That's not knowing or understanding stuff. But I don't really tend to insult people. I'm being factual when I say that. Okay, please. Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. I definitely don't want to insult anyone. I definitely just want to be clear. Okay. It says the government policy of pushing the Indian westward, the policy, they created a whole policy of pushing the Indian removal, the Indian Removal Acts. You guys have to understand these things and know what was going on. These fake treaties, right? The government policy of pushing the Indian westward soon closed the old Sugar Creek mission, and with it, all hope of establishing a reduction in Kansas had faded. The new headquarters of St. Mary's, Kansas, opened in 1848, soon evolving from a mission school for Indian boys in the South and into. Hold on. Let me make sure you guys see this. I want to highlight this. It says the new headquarters of St. Mary's, Kansas, opened in 1848, soon evolving from a mission school for Indian boys into a college for whites. You can't make this shit up. Nothing remains now to remind one of the Father Quickenborn's early hopes have a stone marker which indicates the site of Bishop Mayage first cathedral and precious old diaries. The Indian language manuscript. Oh, the Indians don't have a language. You guys don't have a language. That's not true because the Aboriginals always had language, right? It says the old diaries and the Indian language manuscripts in the archives of St. Mary's College. You guys got to go check those archives out. I hope you guys got a screenshot of that earlier so that you would understand it, right? It says, but the Osages would not be left orphans by the Blackrobes. Hold on. They say, hold on. Y'all ain't about to make us orphans. It says the Osages would not be left orphans by the Blackrobes. When the new St. Mary's in the Kaw Valley made it, oh Lord, my reading is so off today, guys. I don't know why. I was a little disorientated. Some sinuses, so y'all got to excuse me. I don't know why the book's not reading, but something's going on with my speaker. But either way, it says, let me start back again. It says the Osages would not be left orphans by the Blackrobes. They would not be left orphans by the Blackrobes. It says that when the new St. Mary's in the Cobb Valley made it no longer possible for the fathers to visit them, the Indians petitioned Bishop Kendrick for the Catholic school. They petitioned for the Catholic school. Y'all hear this? On April the 29th of 1847, Father Shoemaker S.J. took possession of two new buildings that were erected for the Osages by the Indian Department. In October of the same year, the Sisters of Loretto of Kentucky opened a convent school for Indian girls. For a half century, the work of the evangelization and the civilization was carried on by the Jesuits and Loretta nuns. During which period the little mission grew from a little frontier outpost, which was looked upon as the Ultima Thule of Father Ponziglion's day to thoroughly modern parish of St. Francis and St. Paul's in Kansas today. Oh, snap. Did y'all hear that? Just to make sure you're understanding that. So St. Francis and St. Paul, that's in Kansas today, was the old Loretta Nun school they had for the Indian women children, the Indian children. Didn't I just explain to you guys that this is how they created the reservations, starting these places off and create nations? They had the church, the school, and a hospital facility. So once the pastor of the church was named a chief, once he was a chief and he took on the name of one of these tribes, he said down McCreek, down Cherokee, down whatever he named himself, whatever they made themselves a part of, right? Then now they would start to civilize the people, the immigrants that they had brought in, the wild savage Indians that they brought in, start training them, teaching them certain mannerisms, taking them away from cannibalism, all of these things, right? These areas, they have changed over because they were these reservations that they used to create these fake nations. Now they have been turned into other things, and it says that it is a parish of St. Francis and St. Paul in Kansas today. Crazy, right? Tell me it ain't crazy. Reductions in the Rocky Mountains. Let's check this out. This is a spectacular story of how the Flatheads, listen, the Flatheads crossed the continent to seek the Blackrobes in St. Louis. They crossed the continent to seek the Blackrobes. It has given rise to the sufficient controversy to make it a well-known phase of life of Father De Smet. Lavelle and Chittenden and Richardson have served De Smet well as biographers. His own prolific writings assure Dr. De Smet more than ordinary fame, but when we recall that this Belgian Jesuit, Father De Smet name, we think of an intrepid missionary noted for his long journeys and his astounding ability to pacify the hostile Indian tribes. Do you hear this? The nerve of these people to pacify them. Too little is known of the work quietly carried forward by his fellow Jesuits. I want to get to the next page, but I want to read this to you guys real quick, right? Okay, there's a book by C.F. Graves, W.W., Early Jesuits at the Osage Mission, St. Paul, Kansas, in 1916. And you can read that on page 103 of that particular book to get a little more information on that, understanding what was going on with the early Jesuits on the particular Osage Mission. This book goes in detail about what was going on, particularly with the Osage. So if you want to look that up, please do. Once again, it also says here, because the purpose of the visits of the Rocky Mountain Indians, has been so frequently called into question. Father Mingarini's version will be useful. In the year of 1839, a letter from Bishop Rosati of St. Louis, Missouri, reached Father General Rothen and the children of the Western Wilds of America. The Western Wild, listen, they're particular talking about the children of the Western Wild. Who are these? These were the savages. These were the dusties that they were talking about earlier, right? The cannibals, the ones that were kept out in the damn woods, right? They had come to his door begging for someone to break to them the bread of salvation. Do you hear this? Begging. Please teach us the word of Christ. Save us, chop our heads off. We read in the Nebraska book that they told them, hey, we can chop your head off because once you die, you're going to the great glory in heaven. You don't need these riches down here on this land that you guys have, all this great sun, these great fruits and vegetables, these great herbs, all this fresh water and air. You don't need this. You can die and go to heaven. Let's kill you. That's what they told them in Nebraska when they took their 150 million acres of land, right? I did a build on that on YouTube. You guys can check that out if you want to. Yes, using that religion to chop the heads off of the people, literally. Literally chopping their damn heads off at the neck. And now they're doing it by mentally decapitating people with the religion itself. They're just falling for it. It's crazy. Okay, let's go on. It says the children of the Western Wilds of America had come to his door begging for someone to break to them the bread of salvation, and he had no one to give it to them. Damn, they need more pastors. We got to get more pastors in here because they're ready. We got them now willing and ready and able. We can just break their minds, break their spirits, break everything about them, their culture, take their lands, keep feeding them this liquor, diminish their minds and, start to deteriorate their bodies and take them away from the nature that they all had, right? It says, and he had no one to give it to them. It says, I was at that time a student of theology. Theologists, all these theologists are these people that are using spellbinding tactics of religion against you. All these are from the Jesuit order. Keep that in mind. In the Roman college, and when I heard that the appeal publicly read in the refectory, I was deeply moved. I bet. Let's get on. Let's continue with the story. Let me go back up to read a little bit for you guys forget. It says, too little is known of the work quietly carried forward by his fellow Jesuits who stayed on the far-flung frontier. These frontiermen, I told you about these frontiersmen, these Quakers, these black and white natives, all of the white natives taking the reservations and plantations to occur these fake tribes. You remember, that's what's going on here. It says, and through their long years of unseen self-sacrifice, changed both of the peaceful Flathead and the fierce Blackfoot into solid citizens. Oh man, the Blackfoot and the Flatheads, and made them what? Citizens. Turned them into citizens. Thanks so much for the roses, sis. All mind control. That's right for your mind. Let me check on my chat real quick. All mind control. the link to the StreamYard Yahweh. I'm Yahweh. Yeah. Let me see. I think you're talking about the StreamYard. Look at something to say about this. Let's go. And drop it here. The link to the StreamYard or the book. I'm going to drop the book too, just in case. Let me get the book for you guys. Here's the StreamYard link. If anyone has questions, let me go grab the book. I don't know if you're talking about the book, brother. I'll grab that for you too. Real quick. The book? Okay. Yes. All right. There you go. All right. This is the book, guys. You guys can grab that and make sure you're getting this information. All on these Jesuits. There's so much information about these people. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay, let me go. Back to the stream. All right. Now, it says, Father De Smet deserves every possible praise for his really heroic labors, his heroic labors, the work he put in, right? But in the fastness of the silent Northwest labored men whose names are hardly known, but who faithfully carried forward the brilliancy and conceived plans of their Herculean leader, Herculean, here comes Hercules, Herculean leader, such men as Point, Mengarini, Ravalli, and the rest made history quiet, but with that particular undying certainty, which is the characteristic of the Jesuit mission. It's the characteristic of the particular Jesuit mission. In 1841, 3 months after Father De Smet led his band of fellow Jesuits into the Rocky Mountains country to fulfill the promise made by the Flatheads, in St. Louis 2 years previously, after carefully considering what plan would be best to civilize the Indians. What plan would be best to civilize the Indians? Wrote to his superior the following. Let's check this out. What did he write? Talking about concerning the civilizing of the Indians, huh? Let's see what he read. It says that the best end which we can propose to ourselves is that which our fathers of Paraguay had in view when they commanded that their missionary labors, and that the means to attain this end should be the same. It says chiefly because these means have been approved by the most respectable authorities, crowned with perfect success, and admired even by the enemies of our religion. It says that the principles being admitted, it only remains it only remains to form a correct idea of the method that is employed by our fathers in Paraguay, and to improve the minds and the hearts of their neophytes, and to bring them into the degree of the perfection in which they conceive their particular susceptible. Conceive them susceptible. This is why I did not want to read that. I don't know what's going on with me. My concisiveness is a bit off, so you guys got to ignore it. It says, after having seriously reflected on that muratory, it said it relates to the establishment of the Paraguay. It says, we have concluded that the following points should be laid down, and the rules to direct the conduct of our converts, those that we have converted. It says that regard to God, it says simple, firm, and lively faith. With regard to our neighbor, respect for those in authority, for parent and aged, etc. 3, with regard to oneself, humility, modesty, meekness, etc. Why? We are so powerful. We have so much inside of us. Why would you want us to be humble and meek and modest? We're great. We're awesome. We're powerful. We are all. 4, with regard to the means, flight from all contamination and influences, not only from the corruption of the age, but from what the gospel calls the word. Caution again, all the immediate intercourses with the particular YT people. All immediate intercourses with the YT people, even with workmen whom necessity compels us to employ. We shall confine them to the knowledge of their own language, erect schools among them, and teach them reading, writing, arithmetic, and singing. Well, dang it. Didn't they know all these things? Well, of course not. This is why they needed the Indian schools to teach these people as they came in as immigrants. The savages were teaching the savages, the true savages. It says to facilitate the attainment of the end of view, we have chosen the place of the first missionary station, and it was formed it formed the plan of the village, made a division of the land, determined the form of the various buildings, determining the form of the various buildings. Most of these buildings were already there, though, so we know that's pretty much a stretch. It says all this is to be executed in conformity with the plan formally adopted in the missions of Paraguay. Father Point's description of the beginnings of St. Mary's in the first of the Rocky Mountain reduction is wordly repeated. I'm going to go forward. Hold on, guys. Let's get to something else real quick. Okay. It says, faced with the task of reclaiming these degraded beings from their savage state, Father Point continues, what was to be done? It says that the soil around their wretched hovels, was unsurpassed in fertility. It required but a trifling labor to make it produce 100-fold. We know that's a lie because the soil itself was producing. It says the remedy was to found and instruct them, in inspiring them with the taste of the industrious labor by aiding, encouraging, and rewarding their efforts so far as our means are allowed, and to attain this in that their scattered families must be gathered into one place. In other words, we must found what our ancient fathers called a reduction. This was the This was the consumption of which all of our endeavors were to be directed, right? The reduction that they planned before, that the forefathers had warned them about, but they allowed them to come in, staking claim and setting up plantations and setting up reservation, right? This is what was continuing to happen. Comments in the live were filtered. Well, filtered for what? Nobody said anything. Religion, mind control. Like, is that what's filtered? Like, is that what's going on? Okay. I am gonna read this talking about the property. Okay. I'm gonna stop after this, guys, and I am going to start a new live on TikTok, going into some very important law information, guys. But I definitely wanted to just share this with you guys. You said you think it says, oh, okay. Okay, that's why. That's so damn mess. Okay, so yes, I definitely want to show you guys a little bit of this information on our indigenous heritage and things that were going on, and how the difference in us and the savage tribes, right? We are not the savage tribes that they're speaking of. The savage tribes were the ones that they needed to tame so that they could work with them to be agents to take over, the ones that they used as a circus act to parade them around and say, hey, these are the Indians of the Americas. All of those things they were doing, perpetuating fraud, orchestrating frauds. It says dispersion. This in the summary of what was done. The church was finished. The seed was sown. Each one planting his own little field, each plantation, each reservation, while there was a public field for the whole people. Religious exercises were as follows. There are much the same as these recounted by Father D. Schmidt of St. Ignatius Mission. The usual place of residence of the Kalispels, that is which the reduction of St. Ignatius is now established. It is an extensive prairie, and it is called the Bay of the Kalispes, 30 or 40 miles above the mouth of Clark or Flathead River. A beautiful grotto exists in the neighborhood of the mission, which I name the Grotto of Manresa in honor of our holy founder. Renaming the lands, just classifying stuff what they want. Other centers were slowly established throughout the Rocky Mountain country until the whole vast stretch of what we consider the northwestern states was under the influence of the Blackrobe, under the Jesuits. Year after year, the fathers reported to their superior in St. Louis more conversions and more reductions that were erected. How many souls these valiant soldiers of Christ reclaimed from the darkness of paganism and barbarity through their patience and suffering will never be known. Point is said to have baptized 600 natives himself. 600 natives himself. Father Dusmelt gives the number of 402 at the baptism of adults during the first 6 months of labor in the Flathead country. Certainly, it is correct to say that the Jesuits renewed the faith of the Rocky Mountain country. Yes, they did. They came and they pressed down. With the passing of the original founders, the concept of the particular mission and the reduction seem to have been gradually neglected. Father De Smet made his last journey into the Indian country in 1846. By 1848, Father Point had been recalled to Canada. New blood and new government regulations seem to have been made no longer possible to continue the particular original plan. We have not at present sufficient material at hand to determine exactly how closely De Smet and his companions were able to imitate the fathers of Paraguay. Perhaps as an investigation into the annual letters of each of the reduction, it would yield surprising information. We have made the letters of De Smet describing the Indians coming home from the field and pausing to say, the Angelus and the Points Declaration that serious sin was not committed in the villages for many years. That's a lie. Like accounts from the pen of Mengarini, these are but brief glimpses of the vast panorama of Indian life, brief glimpses, which we would like to have spread before us. Two of these brief accounts may be cited from newspapers. Something about the St. Mary's Mission. Let's check that out real quick. It says from the northwest Deer Creek, Montana, on 16th of October in 1869. There's a neat log chapel building that is surrounded by a belfry, and that again by the emblem of the Catholic faith. An emblem of the Catholic faith. Attached to it is a dwelling of the fathers, and about a few outbuildings and Indian teepees. You guys know they're in teepees. These were also the savages, keeping in mind because we have buildings, constructs, castles, right? It's proven that even have electricity, right? Free electricity. The father Lavallee, more particularly to the temporal welfare of their charge, right? Consisting of the Catholic YT residents and the Blackfeet tribe of Indians, the YT residents and the Blackfeet tribe of Indians, for whom the mission had established many years ago. They were blended, so there were plenty of mulattoes and things going on, right? As long as they had a drop of blood, they were considered what? An Indian. Father Lavallee is the Good Samaritan in northwest Montana. Here he has a miniature drugstore, and in summer's sun and winter storms, no journey is too long or dangerous, no labor too arduous, and the rich or poor, white, YT or Indian of any creed, Indian of any creed. Remember, there are different creeds of Indians. There are the savages, and then there were the ones that were not savages, needs the ministrations of the religion or the surgery, and they are rendered without money and without price. A school for Indians was once established, but it was not a success and it was abandoned. Father Geordi, who kept the register of Bath, which is the baptism, etc., among the Blackfeet, computes their number to 600, cultivating about 50 farms. 50 farms. We found in the entire settlement of the community that this is an overestimate. It is not for us to decide. They didn't know how many farms. There's so many farms we had. Oh my gosh, so many farms. I'm not going to read this next story, guys. I am going to end this here, but I will be coming back shortly to get into some more information I want to share with you guys. Very important and pertinent. Make sure you tap back in the next probably 15 minutes. I'll be coming back. Peace, love, and bliss, guys. I am out. Thanks so much for coming in and checking out the information on our true Aboriginal Indian culture. All right, let me check with the chat. All right, guys. Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. Oh, you're welcome, brother. You already know. Yes, sis. I'm over here. Look, I'm all over the place. I said, let me do two of these streams real quick because I want to get definitely some of our Aboriginal information out on TikTok. I talk a lot about the law stuff over there, but I don't really talk too much about our information unless I'm on someone else's panel. So I definitely want to share some of this on my page, and also. Yeah, a spirit to drink and a spirit to pray for. So now, once you have the spirit of the drink, and then you have the spirit that you're praying to, then you don't have the spirit of discernment that is activated because you have these two things working against you. Now, your spirit is cultivated through the what? The actions of the brain, which is the manipulation of the mind, the temple. But now, thinking and keeping in mind that you, the soul, your actual mind actually is the temple that has the control. But when being controlled by these other spirits that are pressing down on you, it's kind of hard for you to get the control, right? Like, that's crazy. All right. All right, guys. I'm going to share something else with you guys real quick. I did share the book. Anyone that wants to get into that, I don't know why nothing is reading. Let me see. But something must be wrong with my speaker. It's got to be. I got to check this out. Something it's got to be broken or something. Okay. Yeah, I can do that later. All right. So where is it? That's not the right one. Nope. Okay. Where is it? This is probably not even in this tab. Lord, I did not want to go through all the searching. Hold on, guys. Damn, I'm mad this thing is not reading because I swear, y'all, I am not in the mood for all this reading. This is so crazy. It's absurd, actually. Okay, I'm just going to show this. This I'm going to be going over. I am going to be doing a class next week. It's going to be not the 4-week course, guys. The 4-week course will be starting the first week of March. I got to take a break after next week. Will be ending this February's lesson that we kind of got stagnated in a little bit from January. Actually, it was January, but we're definitely going to be doing our the new class in March. The new class will be 4 weeks. Again, you guys need to just reach out to me if you want information on that, if you're interested. I am going to be starting a private group. I told you guys I should be sending an email out in the next week or so. It will be starting in March. There will be a fee associated with it because it is a private study group. I mean, I don't know if you understand it or not, but hey, my time is definitely valuable, whether you know you believe it or not. You have to get some of this information in the private to really get it. Okay. Now, when it comes to citizen and domicile and tax status options from this is the information I'll be sharing. I actually found as well to go along with some of the documents that we have to clarify taxes. I am actually learning more about that. I have a course that I actually paid for last year. I didn't even get to attend it. I just recorded it. I may be going through that. I definitely will be doing that in the private because it was a private class. So there's a couple of things going on with that class. I will put it on my community tab. Anyone that hears this is interested, just check there later or tomorrow, and it will be there if you want to sign up for that that particular course on the tax information and going over things when doing your when doing your taxes correctly, because you know you're not obligated to pay them. You're only supposed to use them for your benefit. But if you don't know that, I don't know what to tell you. Then the 4-week course will be starting in March, the first week, first Wednesday in March. I can't remember what day it is. If you're interested in that, send me something in regards to that to get the information, so on and so forth. That one will be particularly focused on banking. So you will need to have everything set up. You're going to have your trust, your will, You need to really have your account set up, your banking account. I've given all instructions on that with all the documentation. Get your consumer account set up, your living estate account. Once you've done that, we'll get into some further things with the banking. So that will be for the next 4 weeks course, so on and so forth. And actually, I don't think I'm going to get into this because I am going to be getting on TikTok shortly. But I do appreciate. Let me go extreme there. I appreciate everyone that did come in for the information today. Right, right. Busy in the 1800s. Wow, Indian. That's crazy. Of course, of course. I didn't even see that earlier. Yes, the Naturalization Act, 1871. Peace, peace, brother, peace. Thanks so much for coming in. All right, guys, you guys know peace, love, and bliss. Until next time, you guys are the best, and I am out.